Look, dude, you've been making your grilled cheeses the same exact way since you were about 5 years old. Today, I'm gonna show you 3 ways you can kick it up a notch and just make them a little bit fancier. Now let's go! We're gonna start today by making our green basil pesto. This is something that's great with grilled cheese. It's also something that's great just to have around in your fridge for various purposes. I would guess that most of you have made pesto at one point in your lives. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments. I think pesto is like one of the most commonly made things at home. Is that right? I could be wrong, but it's super easy to make. Here's how you do it. Starting with a whole bunch of basil leaves. I actually got this from my garden, which is really nice. Just picked it off the stem. Get that straight in. A little bit of garlic. I feel like people can really overdo it with the garlic sometimes. You gotta remember, as this blends down, it's gonna reduce a lot in mass, so that little bit of garlic is actually more than it seems. A little bit of toasted pine nuts. I just cooked these in a pan over low to medium heat for about 6-7 minutes, then cooled them down. And if you don't have pine nuts, you can absolutely just use another kind of toasted nut. I use walnuts all the time, and that does make it quite a bit cheaper as well. Sergeant Gilbert reporting for duty. That's just a little bit of black pepper going in. I think that adds a nice little spicy kick. Tiny little sprinkle of salt. Remember, you don't need much because of all the cheese that's going in next. And of course, olive oil. So I'll just pour this over. Now I'm gonna blend it first without the cheese. And after about 10 seconds, I'll go ahead and just take the top off and just stir some of this edge back in, right? Make sure it all blends evenly. There we go. Now, we're just gonna go ahead and microplane in our cheese. I'm doing 2 cheeses here. Usually you're just gonna see Parmesan and pesto, but I like doing a little pecorino romano as well. But of course, if you wanna just go with 1 cheese, that's absolutely fine. And I'm shredding it in with this microplane so it just blends easily into the sauce. There's our romano, and now in with the Parmesan. Cheese, grommet. Now we'll just blend that in. After adding the cheese, if it's too thick, you can always just add a little bit of olive oil. I do that a lot of the times. Another couple tablespoons, blend it in. And that's it. Let's just give it a taste. Make sure it's on point with the seasoning. Nicely balanced, not too much of any one ingredient, and really good with the fresh basil from the garden. I'll then just pop this in a Tupperware container and pour a small little bit of oil over the top so it doesn't oxidize. And then store it in the fridge and we can move on. The next recipe we're gonna make that seriously levels up a good grilled cheese sandwich is a red pesto, which isn't very common, but is seriously good. I wish you would make this one. Starting with some pine nuts this time. And look, I'm using a mortar and pestle. This is absolutely, definitely more work, so you don't need to do this. You could just use a RoboCoupe like I used for the green pesto. I really do believe that recipes made by hand are a little bit better. I can't really explain it, but there is something to that. It's that human element, the human touch. But again, you don't need to do it. Starting with pine nuts and garlic, a little bit of salt. Again, we're putting cheese later, so you don't need much. And I'll begin smashing. This is actually a molcajete, which is the Mexican version of a mortar and pestle. Really love them. Look, made from that volcanic rock. Okay, I got a good paste going here. Now, next thing I'm adding is all this roasted bell pepper. And all I did with this was burn it over the stove for about 10 minutes, just rotating it. Which, if you don't have a gas stove, you could use a broiler for that. That would work as well. I then just put it in a Tupperware container, let it sit for about 15 minutes, at which point I popped it out, peeled it, de-seeded it, and then cut it up nice and fine. So it will be a little bit easier in the next step, which is what we're doing right now. I'm going to start by working this a little bit. The benefit of making this red one in the molcajete instead of the food processor is it'll stay really, really red. Something happens when you blend ingredients with oil. It's called emulsification, and it will make that color sort of more orange. So I'm hoping we get a pretty nice red color out of this. I'm going to work this just for a minute. The next thing I'm adding is these Calabrian chilies. If you've never had Calabrian chilies, you owe it to yourself to get some. They're kind of hard to find in the store, so I bought these online. But my God, are they good. They have an incredible fruity flavor and a really nice sort of medium heat to them. And I'm gonna put a little bit of the oil that the Calabrian chilies are sitting in as well. It's got a lot of flavor. Now I'll just work in these chilies, give it a little love and care. I think I'm more excited about the red pesto than the green. Both gonna be really good. The next ingredient that's going in is tomato paste. This is just gonna give it a little bit of body and more red color. And what I did with that was cook it in a non-stick pan for about 5 minutes. And then I took it out just to let it cool down. Cooking it first really removes that tart taste. In we go. Yeah, and that's adding a really beautiful red color now. Next, just a little bit of olive oil and a touch of dried oregano. Work that in. And last but certainly not least, I'm going in with the cheese. And again, I'm doing a mixture of pecorino romano and parmigiano reggiano. By the way, we're using this for a grilled cheese today, but my God, you could stick this in sandwiches. You could make a pasta out of this. delicious. You could have it with cheese on a cracker. That would be really good. Put it on a cheese board or charcuterie. This is one of those sauces you're not going to run out of things to do with. That's the pecorino. Now in with the parmesan. Now it seems like a lot of cheese, but once you mix it for just a sec, it really comes together. Again, I'm just going to add a little touch of oil, thin it out. And the very last ingredient, just to lift this up a little bit, touch of red wine vinegar, just to bring that much needed acidity in here. You could also do a squeeze of lemon in the green pesto if you want. Be aware that will kill your color faster than if you don't. Now be a good chef. Taste for seasoning before you put it away. Holy shit, that is good. Oh my God. You guys gotta make this. That is beautiful. For our final grilled cheese, we are gonna be doing the classic combination of Brie cheese, apple or pear, and fig jam. And trust me when I say this is a must try. This combination is really, really good. With the Brie cheese, you can eat the rind, although it can be a little bit bitter. So I'm actually gonna cut some off. Again, you don't absolutely need to do this, but you can. And I'll just trim around the edges, trying really not to waste much cheese. Then I'll just slice this a little bit and get it ready for the grilled cheese. Oh yeah. Next, I'm gonna get the pear ready. And again, if you find a really good apple, you can use that. I prefer it with pear, but apple's really good too. I'm gonna take out the core, and then I'm just gonna make nice thin slices of this pear. I don't want it to be too thick. Something like this looks good. Now let's start assembling these grilled cheeses. Some softened, unsalted butter. I really like to take my time to put a thin layer of butter. Make sure I get into every little nook and cranny, because that is gonna give you the best possible crunch on the exterior. Of course, you can just throw the butter into the pan, but it's not the same. Butter always burns a little bit. Having it on the bread is just right. It's just right. Flip these over here, on the side. Let me butter your bread. Start over here on the right with the fig jam. Be as liberal as you want. And by the way, I'm using fig jam. Nice combination with everything else, but you can use any other jam you have. It works with a lot of them. You could use blueberry, you could use raspberry, you could even use strawberry. Kind of crazy, but it would probably be good. Blackberry would be really good. Black currant would be great. Get in there with the brie. Ooh. Yeah, this is gonna be a thick sandwich. Now in we go with the pear. Lay it on. Ooh, a little sweet, a little salty. Man, that's gonna be good. Yum, dude. Seal it up. Next, I'm going in with the red pesto. Look at that. And of course, our lovely little pesto over here. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Do as little or as much as you like. Now in terms of cheese, you can do whatever you like. I'm doing a combination of Munster and mozzarella, two great melting cheeses, although that one is totally up to you. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Okay, my friends, let's close these up. Now these are going straight onto my preheated Made in Cookware griddle, which is the sponsor of today's video, and I am super proud to have them, as I've been a fan of their products long before they ever sponsored this channel. Made in partners with the very best raw material providers, as well as multi-generational manufacturers from the US, UK, Italy, and France to bring you superior kitchen products. And their pans are used in multiple 3 Michelin star restaurants like Alinea in Chicago and La Bernardine in New York City. Their carbon steel griddle is seriously an amazing piece of kit to have in your arsenal if you are an avid home cook. And that's because it can be used outside on a grill or over an open flame, or inside on a gas, induction, or electric stove. You can use it everywhere. Its large flat surface is really designed to maximize flavor, crispiness, caramelization on whatever you throw on it. It makes amazing grilled cheeses, it does great chicken, it does pancakes, it does eggs, it does everything. It also comes pre-seasoned and is really naturally non-stick. I have never had one piece of food stick to that griddle. On top of that, it is heat safe up to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. If you've been looking for the perfect summer griddle, then trust me, that is it. You can check out their carbon steel griddle as well as Maiden's other cookware by clicking the link down in the description to save on your order. Thank you so much, Maiden, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the recipe. I got the heat just around medium, and we're gonna let these toast away. A little bit of pressure on there never hurts as well. Just make sure it has a really nice contact and let them cook. And another great trick I love to use when making grilled cheese is to finely grate some Parmesan cheese. Butter the outside of your bread just like I did today, and then dip that into the Parmesan. And then just cook it as normal on low to medium heat until it gets golden brown and releases. And it gives you this incredible crunchy, salty Parmesan cheesy exterior that is really good.
Yeah, stop doing that. Yeah, stop doing that. No, that doesn't help. You're still...
And when it's golden brown to your liking, just give it a flip. Looks beautiful. Listen to that. Flip this guy and the pesto. Wow, looking nice. Wow, that crunch is incredible. Something about having a really big, thick piece of metal like this griddle makes that crunch super nice. Now, the Brie one is done first because it has the most delicate cheese. And I think something that's really important when you make grilled cheese is definitely put it on a wire rack when it comes off the pan. Otherwise, if you put that straight onto a plate or board, it'll steam and you'll lose the crunch on that side of the bread, which is a travesty. Don't do that. If you don't have a resting rack, you can just use a couple chopsticks or forks on a plate. That works just as well. Just another minute or two on my other grilled cheeses here and we'll be good to go. Coming in for a taste. Marcus is a little bit sick today. He's here, he's right there. His voice sounds like a frog, to be honest. Here we go. The green pesto is actually really good. It's better than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, I know they're good, but like that's really nice. Let's try this red. This red pesto recipe is a gem. I'm telling you guys, green pesto amazing. This, I think it's a must make. And last but not least, Brie, pear, fig jam. Oh my God, wow. That is a crazy experience. It's almost like a dessert grilled cheese. It's really good. Although I'm more of a savory person, this is amazing in its own right. They're all good, but I would rate them good, better, and best. The red one is incredible. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I truly hope you're inspired to try some sort of new grilled cheese, whether it's one that I showed you today or another one. I don't care. I just want you to cook, have fun in the kitchen with your friends, with your family. If you like written recipes, down in the description, there is a link to my Master in the Making ebook. There's also a mega list of links down there to products and equipment I love to use here in my kitchen. And if you want to keep learning today, here are 2 more cheese forward recipes I think you're really gonna love. Until next time, you know I love you and I'm out.